You like it?
What are you guys doing?
Nothing.
Did you two just have a first look?
No, maybe a little bit. Kind of small.
We were talking about first looks today, so we thought it'd be fun if we did, like the first
Okay,
look.
okay. I get it. But the first look is actually one of the most important moments of the day. And people really have strong opinions on that.
Okay, cool.
If you're planning a wedding and want all the secret tips for a smoother wedding day experience, then stick around as we interview some of the top professionals in the wedding industry. We are Coastline Studios, a fun-loving team of filmmakers who specialize in creating custom wedding films alongside some extremely talented people. Welcome to Let's Talk Weddings. As videographers, we love working alongside amazing photographers, and today is no exception as we speak with Karyn and Joe May from Karyn May Photography. Our topic today is an interesting one and maybe even a little controversial. Joe and Karyn, thank you so much for being here today. We're talking about something super controversial, which is first looks and if you should do them. You guys have been married since when?
1997.
And did they do first looks back then?
No, and we
did not,
actually didn't even have the option. Our photographer didn't give us the option. So maybe it was a thing actually then, but we weren't given the option, so we actually did not do a first look.
And how do you feel about that? Are you glad that you didn't do one, or?
Well, I feel like I guess personally, I think I would have liked to done the first look. I was extremely nervous on our wedding day.
Flowers were shaking.
I do remember, walking down the aisle and my flowers were just like shaking nonstop. So I think seeing each other ahead of time would have probably calmed some nerves a little bit.
I got married in 1999, and so it's pretty close to when you got married a while back. And I think I don't know if it was trending or not, but we did do a first look.
Okay.
For me as a groom, it did help my nerves. So it totally did help my nerves. And sometimes I've heard the argument that you lose the impact of, seeing the bride for the first time. But for me, I kind of felt like I got to see her for the first time twice.
Right.
So for me, it didn't minimize seeing her come down the aisle. I still cried when I saw her come down the aisle. You haven't gotten married yet, but.
I haven't gotten married yet, and these are all great points, but I think personally, as I'm sure it is just a personal question for anybody thinking about this when they're getting married, but I don't think I would personally want to do a first look just because I do want that moment when coming down the aisle. But honestly, from a professional standpoint, because we're videographers, photographers, I honestly really like the first look and from a vendor's point of view, just because you get that moment with just the two of them to get those nice photos and that surprise reaction when he turns around and everything. But personally, I kind of just want that aisle.
Moment.
Yeah.
Which just goes to say that it's a controversial thing. Everybody has an opinion on it.
Exactly.
So today we're going to talk about some of the pros and cons about that. What are some pros in your mind? I mean, we talked a little bit about, as a photographer especially.
Yeah, I think a big advantage is just having that private moment for the couple before the ceremony. It's a moment where they're actually able to talk to one another, have a conversation, exchange gifts, share a hug.
Shake some of the nerves.
Right, exactly. Like before immediately having to go right into the ceremony.
I agree, it's a real intimate moment where they can actually, you see each other walking down the aisle, but you don't get the opportunity to actually communicate with one another, talk and express, your feelings in that moment, so.
Another big benefit to doing a first look is you can actually get the bulk of the photos done right away, which I think is extremely nice. You can actually pair that first look with doing all the couple portraits and then all the bridal party portraits too. That way, after the ceremony, they can go and enjoy their cocktail hour 100% stress-free, which is, I think, kind of nice for couples.
And that's what you were saying.
Definitely.
As a flow of the day benefit, that's huge, that you get a lot of that out of the way. Your guests aren't waiting for you between the ceremony and the reception.
You look so gorgeous. love you. Thank you. I love you. You look so handsome. I love you.
Those are all great positive things. And I guess, would you say, are there any cons to having a first look or not?
I think for couples that are traditional, like you said, losing that element of surprise when walking down the aisle for the very first time. Some couples just want to do that, and we 100% support our couples no matter what they choose to do.
Same here.
I think it is a personal preference, and I think the couples should make that decision together. I also think that when doing a lot of the portraits ahead of time, there's not a guarantee that the dress is going to stay 100% pristine, especially if we're doing like that first look outdoors or the portraits outside. We might pick up a couple of leaves, you know, the dress might get a little bit dirty.
And another point, another con possibly is you may find as secluded and nice an area as possible to do the first look, but as your guests arrive, you may have unwanted guests that view it, or spectators, so to speak. So you kind of lose that element of surprise for a lot of your guests, maybe.
Right. Yeah.
So this is kind of a put you on the spot question, but do you prefer one over the other?
I'll say from a photographer's perspective, I prefer
To do a first
them.
look.
Yeah, absolutely.
I do like it both ways. It is kind of nice to actually get all those photos done out of the way, so then that way the couple can actually enjoy more of the celebration.
Oh, you're so pretty. Wow, you look amazing.
Want me to do a spin?
Sure, yeah.
Sorry.
You look so good too.
Yeah, you do a spin.
No.
So it sounds like with these cons that it could affect the timeline as well, and that's something that they should think about.
Absolutely. If you do wait to do your first look down the aisle, you are limited for photos after the ceremony, because after the ceremony, whether you're doing a receiving line, which actually takes up time, you have to fit in all your family photos, the couple photos, the bridal party photos. So if your cocktail hour is only 45 minutes or maybe even an hour, you just have to kind of consider that you need to fit in all those important photos, because there are a lot of important photos that you want to fit in on your wedding day. So it does affect the timeline.
Absolutely, and fitting in means rounding and wrangling up guests that are ceremony's over, we're ready for the reception, we're ready to go party. So it's hard to get them back into a mindset and a frame of, okay, let's stay in this space, we got to get these photos done. They're ready to go to the reception.
So if you're wanting to have a first look, something you need to think about is privacy, right?
Absolutely. Yes. I think that it's a conversation. We always like to educate our couples beforehand, just so we can have that conversation whether or not they want their bridal party to see, or if they want their parents to kind of watch the first look, or if they even want it photographed. Some couples like to just have maybe just one photographer there, even though we do work together, just to kind of keep it as intimate as possible.
So just set those terms ahead of time.
Absolutely.
Let the photographer, videographer, and family know so that it's a smooth operation
Right.
when it happens.
Yes.
Your address. Oh my god. What? The dress is almost as beautiful as you.
We've seen some different alternative first looks. Some are funny, or some are just really unique and different. I'm sure you guys have probably seen a little bit of everything, throughout the years.
I think we see more and more people trying to do their own little individual, unique first looks.
Personalize it.
Yeah, they personalize it, whether you call it a no look, whether, they're just around a doorway, or, on opposite sides of a wall, reading a note to one another, or just holding hands, saying something special. I think that's a very nice moment.
And it's still private, which I think is kind of nice, without seeing each other. Like I said, we support our couples no matter what. whatever they want to do. I mean, it's their day, not our day. You know, we're there to document it. So, and then also there's been first looks where the couples, they kind of ditch their tux and dress and then actually just do like a first look in their bathroom robes or something and slippers, which I thought was kind of cute.
Yeah.
And then it doesn't change the element of surprise when the bride actually walks down the aisle.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like getting two looks, you know,
Yeah.
which is kind of
Because
fun
the groom
too.
hasn't seen her in her dress yet, but they get to share that special moment prior.
It might still shake the nerves that you
Right.
set ahead of time
Exactly.
as well.
Yeah, so that's an option too. I think there's a lot of different options that you could do on, you know, your wedding day. So
The key is sounds like to personalize it,
Yes.
who you are as individuals,
absolutely.
find a way to make it work.
Yeah.
Is there any ridiculous, crazy, funny, like dinosaur? Have you guys done anything like where someone's dressed crazy or have you
No.
done any of those?
We have not.
I don't think so, no.
No?
Not that I can recall.
I know I personally shot a wedding this past year where the groom was just so nervous, and they were going to do a first look, and he was just so nervous for that first look and like how he was going to react that they actually had his best man wearing a wedding dress come up behind him and tap him on the shoulder. So when he turned around, he just burst out laughing, and all those nerves just kind of went out the door. And then they had him turn back around, and then his bride actually came in, and then it was a little bit more genuine at that point. But just things like that, like they personalized that, and they knew that he was going to be that nervous, and so I think that was cute. And like you said, personalizing, uniqueness, just whatever works for you is going to be what's best.
Absolutely.
Well, we really appreciate you guys sharing your experience and your insight on this. If people want to get a hold of you, what's the best way for them to find you?
They can contact us online. We're at KarynMay.com and Facebook, Instagram at Karyn May Photography.
Yeah, well, thank you so much for being here. I didn't know about a lot of the stuff you said, so that was really cool to hear. And thank you for tuning in today, and be sure to leave a comment on whether or not you had a first look or you're thinking about having a first look or not. And like, share, subscribe, and catch us on the next episode of Let's Talk Weddings.